Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Mandir, Gopinath Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham.
Jai.
Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Gopal Gauri Guru Varga ki jai, Bhakti Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaur Hari ki jai, Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Hari Nama Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Shri Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So we will begin with Mangalacharan, the auspicious invocation, page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha, Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam, DANDEHAM, etc. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Vaisnava Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahabano Raghunathanritam Tam Sajivam Sadveta Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahavano Lalita Shri Vishakhambikamshcha Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namah Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayanitti Namine Shri Krishna Leela Katane Sudaksham Audarya Madhurya Gunaishta Yuktam Varam Varinyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tvam Shirasha Namami Vidanginam Bhakta Shiromanim Cha Shri Krishna Padam Jitaika Hridni Chaitanya Leelamrita Sarasara Narayanam Tvam Satatam Prapadye Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nittinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Namah Vishnupadaya Gaurapresthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshavanitti Namine Adhimatyacharitraya Swashritanam Chapaline Jivadukhe Sadartaya Shri Rama Premadayine Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale वृषभानवी देवी दयिताय कृपाभये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दयिने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमध्य श्रीरूपानुग भक्तिदा श्री गौर करुणाशक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दिनपालिने रूपानुगम्यनुभावो सिद्धान्तोद्भक्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्बरसम्बोधे पदं पूजायते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगपरायते गौराविर्भावभूमेस्त्वं निर्देष्टा सजनप्रिया वैष्णव सर्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथायते नमः वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावरण्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नमने गौरद्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतां सुरतो पङ्गो मम मन्दमते गति मत्सर्वस्वपदं भोजो राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यगृङ्गारण्यकल्पद्रुमनो श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्री श्रीराधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवो वेष्णानिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमन्द्रसरसारम्भी वंशिवततस्थितः कर्षन्वेणुस्वरैर्गोपीर् गोपीनाथश्रीस्तुनः वृन्दायै तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियायै केशवस्य च कृष्णा भक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहागामग्निनिर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मा Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Kevalam Kalunaskyeva Naskyeva Naskyeva Gatiranyaka Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Tell what it is first that we have time.
I don't know yet.
Oh, sorry.
I was just reflecting, there's a bhajan in here which we're not going to sing today. And I have a hard time singing it because there's one line in it, there's one verse which throws me off. And that verse states that if you ever see any wrong behavior in your guru, don't neglect him at any time. And so I don't know if that's a proper translation, but according to Shastra, one should see that their guru is perfect, but also if somebody is noticing that they have bad character, then is something that I need to get clarified with any advanced Vaishnava, because otherwise I cannot sing it with my heart, with faith. So that I need to clarify. That's why we're not singing that legend, because I can't connect fully with it.
You don't understand the translation.
Yes, I don't fully understand, or I'm not able to fully accept that translation. But it might be that the verse has many different meanings, and any advanced Vaishnava, high-class Vaishnava, would be able to reconcile that for me. Okay. Gurudev Baro Kripa Kori Gauravanu Maje Godrume Diacho Sthan, page 33. The reason why I mention that to you is because these days we find a lot of people, they're like, oh look, he's a guru, you should go and take initiation from him. But then my question would be, if you didn't have a guru, would you accept them and take initiation from that person? And if the answer is no, then why are you recommending it to me? It means that you're cheating me. So I don't like to act in the role of cheater. Meaning, if I myself would not do something, why would I encourage someone else to do that thing? So that's why I'm offering pranam to that, but until I understand it, I'm not going to present it, in a sense, until it registers in my heart.
The question would come up.
Yes.
For anyone reading
But like
it.
Vedavyas, he told Ganesh, only write down what you have understood, what you have processed. If you don't understand it, don't write.
But I think there's a difference when you're discussing, seeing like, bubbles on the Ganga. There may be some kind of defect, but if there is some kind of pratikul, meaning something that they're doing that is against bhakti or that is against, that kind of a flaw, you have to distinguish. But if there is some kind of a character flaw in terms of anger or harshness or something like that, so if it's not explained properly, then anyone can take that and run with it.
Yes.
So the translation probably needs to be verified. I know that some of the older translations, they put little brackets and kind of give an idea or put a shlok to it.
Footnotes for them, right?
Yes. Now they don't have it in this, so it is questionable at times.
Right. There are footnotes, but
Not
on
like
that
that.
one I didn't see a footnote. So.
Not like that.
Yes.
Okay, 33. Thank you, Jiva Pavana Prabhu. If you're new to the thread, just so you know, if you keep scrolling down, you'll find Jiva Pavana Prabhu's name. And he always posts the bhajans and the kirtans so that we can all join in kirtan together. So always keep searching, and every now and then he adds nectar to the thread. So please keep searching and scroll down to the bottom. Thank you so much, Jiva Pavana Prabhu. It's such a helpful and wonderful seva. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandava Pranam. Gurudev Baro Kripa Kori Gora Mono Majhe Sudumeni Ajo Saro Baro Kripa Kori Gora Mono Majhe Sudumeni Ajo Yadi Namore Ebraje Moshi Hari Nama Yadi Namore Ebraje Moshi Hari Nama Boro Kripa Kori Gora Mono Majhe Sudumeni Ajo Saro Kintu Kade Prabhu Jogyataya Pide Enase Noya Kori Kintu Kade Prabhu Jogyataya Pide Enase Chitta Sthira Bhave Sakala Shahivo Ekante Bhajivo Hari Chitta Sthira Bhave Sakala Shahivo Ekante Bhajivo Hari Gora Mono Majhe Sudumeni Ajo Saro Gurudev Baro Kripa Kori Gora Mono Majhe Sudumeni Ajo Saro Shaishava Jovane Jara Sukha Sange Abhyasa Hoilo Manda Jara Sukha Sange Abhyasa Hoilo Manda Nija Karma Doshe Deho Bhoyo Janera Prati Mangha Nija Karma Doshe Deho Thakur Vaishnavagana, Kori E Nivedana, page 43. All together, Srila Goswami Ashtakam. Krishnot Kirtanagan Anartana Paro Premamritam Bonite. And if you don't have the songbook, Jiva Pavana Prabhu will mercifully, as he always does, he posts the bhajan in the comment section of the thread on this post. So Krishnot Kirtanagan Anartana Paro, page 264 in this songbook, Gauriya Gita Gucha. All together. Vishnu Srila Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Is that bhajan by Vrindavan Das Thakur for Nityananda Prabhu available in the songbook or in KK songs? Oh, you know what we didn't sing the other day, a couple days ago, on the same day as the disappearance festival of Sri Rupa Goswami, was also the disappearance festival of Gauridas Pandit. So, in honor of him, we will sing Devadi Deva Gaura Chandra Gauridasa Mandire.
Page number?
Page number 85.
Can you just give them a minute? And it starts Devadi Deva, D-E-V-A-D-I-D-E-V-A. Devadi Deva Gaura Chandra.
Or Jigopal and Prabhu posts it in the comment section.
It's really nice. It's a picture of Srila Prabhupada.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Where's the over there? No? Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Anukul. We have to go to the front section. 1 second.
Can you do Ki Jani Ki Bala?
No.
It's so beautiful. Have you ever read the translation?
199. Let's see something.
Can you say the name so everyone...
Hold on, I'm looking first.
Hari Hai Shri Rupa Gosai.
Yes. It's based on the 8th verse of Sri Bhagavatamrita, which is Tannama Rupa Charitadi. It's beautiful. So Bhaktivedanta Thakur actually made a different bhajan for each verse of the Upadeshamrita.
And Shikshashtakam.
And Shikshashtakam, and Manashiksha, and so many other. So, but because it has that Hari Hai Shri Rupa Gosai, and I want to speak more about Rupa Goswami, just that, calling out like that to Shri Rupa Gosai, I want to sing that one. Page 199 in the songbook. Jiva Pavana Prabhu, did you find it? If it's not there, then I might not.
Then we'll wait a minute. Maybe you can just read the translation.
Okay, I will read the translation.
And if they don't find it, we'll sing something else.
So Hari Hai Shri Rupa Gosai, H-A-R-I-H-E, Shri Rupa Gosai, 199 in the songbook. O Hari, Shri Rupa Goswami in the form of Shri Guru whispered this advice into my ear. Understand my words, O beggar of Nam, and you will attain rati, affection for chanting the name. Very carefully engage your tongue and mind in Shri Krishna's name, form, attributes and pastimes in accordance with the gradual method given in Shastra. Residing in Braj as a Raganuga Bhakta, engage in Smaran and Kirtan of the Lord. Indeed, spend all of your time in this way. Accept this as the essence of all instructions. Alas, O Shri Rupa Goswami, when will you mercifully bestow residence in Braj upon this wretched soul? You are Ragatmik, and the wish of this servant is to follow in your footsteps.
He wrote name, please. Hari Hai Shri Rupa Gosai.
Starts with Hari Hai.
If you can't find it, we'll sing something else. Anyway, because we heard about it. It's beautiful. Maybe you should do something else.
If you can't find it, just say, can't find it. And
Oh, he's looking.
okay.
That probably won't be there.
It's there. So did you find it or not?
So far not.
Okay.
Okay, it's not there. Thank you, Jiva Pavana Prabhu. We'll sing something else. Which one?
I'm looking for something by Srila Rupa Goswami. For Krishna, I think we will sing Krishna Deva Bhavantam Bande. And then we will sing after that Sri Gandharva Sampratanashtakam together. Okay, so Krishna Deva Bhavantam Bande. Sudevi, will you lead it?
Page number?
I don't know.
Find it.
I think it's like 343, if I'm not mistaken.
343.
Wow. Okay.
I was right.
Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande.
Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande.
Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande.
Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande.
check really quick.
For what? Vrindavane Viharato.
Yeah.
Shri Gandharva Sampartanashtakam. It starts with Vrindavane Viharator. Shri Gandharva Sampartanashtakam.
It's beautiful.
275 in the songbook. So it starts Vrindavane Viharator. Vrndavane Viharator. So for next time.
So we'll do this kind of slowly and all together.
Wait till they get it.
Page 275, Shri Gandharva Sampartanashtakam by Sri Rupa Goswami. It's in a mood of despair, praying for the mercy of Srimati Radhika and begging for her mercy, asking to be counted as one of her own.
It's kind of sung in a mantra form.
Yeah.
Gada Pramuditam Abhisar
Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Vrinda Bihari Ji ki jai, Radha Rani ki jai, Viraj Maharaj ki jai, Hari Ram Sankirtan jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namah Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayanitti Namine Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminitti Namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Giring Yatkrapatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Ninatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Prabhupada Om Vishnupad, Astottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja. In the same thousands of Dandava Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Prabhupada Om Vishnupad, Astottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga. And also I offer my Dandava Pranam to all Vaishnavas, past, present and future, including all of you who are present with us today. My Dandava Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas.
So today I was reading from Srila Gurudev about Srila Rupa Goswamipada. Because his glories are unlimited, a few days is not enough to cover what he has given, the greatest gift. Oh, when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Nama. He's glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as that person who gave Krishna Prem to this world. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya, and he's offering pranam unto his lotus feet. And it is true that he gave it, but the specific kind of Krishna Prem, what he wanted to give, and all of the details, how to move forward on the path of bhakti, he gave that through Rupa Goswami. We have heard and read from our Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and from our Guru Varga that Krishna, when he came here 5,000 plus years ago and performed so many wonderful pastimes, he showed the world, look how beautiful I am, how attractive I am. You should enter into my pastimes. But still he was feeling, oh, I showed everyone my pastimes, but I didn't teach them how to enter. So one of the reasons he came as Mahaprabhu was to show by his own example how to enter into those pastimes. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was entering in and showing by his own example, by establishing the crying school. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj says, crying school. It's through the medium of crying for Krishna, feeling deep separation for Krishna, in the wake of the Vrajabasi's love and affection for Krishna, especially that separation that the gopis felt when Krishna went to Mathura. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he says that in his Upadeshavali, which I believe is still here. Please be here. Oh, it is here. Okay. Or it could be our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Number 9 from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. Serving the Brajabasis who felt great separation from Krishna when he left Braj to reside in Mathura is our supreme constitutional occupation. Yes. So, in the wake of that mood and serving that separation mood, that is our supreme constitutional occupation. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was so absorbed in tasting Radha Bhav, feeling deep moods of separation. Yugaitam nimeshena, chakshusha pravrishayitam, shunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. Feeling that even a moment's separation is like millions of yugas, and that the entire world is feeling vacant in the absence of Krishna, in separation from Krishna. So through that mood of separation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was showing by his own practical example. But specifically what he wanted to give, he gave through Rupa Goswami, that there are stages. Our Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada said that Krishna consciousness is a scientific process. Ado Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, Tab Bhajana Kriya, Tato Narta Nivritti Sat, Tato Nishta Ruchishtata. All of these different steps and stages, the process of bhajan, all of the practices that one undertakes in order to awaken divine love and service for Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, that was delineated exactly by Srila Rupa Goswamipada. So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give, Krishna Prema Pradayate, he gave to the world, yes, you should have it. But now we need to be able to accept it. So Rupa Goswami gave us the medium by which we can accept that gift that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to give. If we have our hands full with so many other things, then how can we receive that grace unless we put everything else down? So Ado Shraddha. First of all, faith. And there are two different kinds of before there's faith, there must be some kind of sadhu sangha, and then a secondary sadhu sangha. So a preliminary sadhu sangha, preliminary association somehow with any Vaishnava, it may be even in the form of agyata sukriti, meaning not understanding, not realizing that I have somehow been glanced upon. I have been the object of mercy through the glance of any sadhu, not even realizing it. So from that comes a little sukriti, bhakti sukriti, by which a little bit of shraddha, faith, begins to develop. And from this faith, then we endeavor for more sadhu sangha. Because this is the nature. When faith starts to manifest, then greed for more, transcendental greed for more, begins to awaken. And how can we get that? Through sadhu sangha. So the natural consequence of any real shraddha, paramartic faith, transcendental faith developing in the heart would be that one seeks the association of advanced Vaishnavas. Especially those ones who will help us to develop our eternal relationship of love and affection in service to Sri Sri Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. So first of all, there's a preliminary sadhu sangha, then shraddha, then sadhu sangha, then all of the activities of bhakti, by which all anarthas are dispelled, as told in Srimad Bhagavatam Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yarahoitukam. By following the process of devotional service, as directed by Sri Guru. If we are following, then gradually and naturally and spontaneously, because the higher taste begins to awaken, all anarthas, all other things which are unfavorable for the development of bhakti will gradually become eliminated. They will become a source of disinterest for us, because we will have so much interest in Krishna and in the process of bhakti. So by the grace of Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas, this will take place. So bhajana kriya means the activities of bhakti, and anartha nivritti means all of those things which are unfavorable for bhakti gradually become eliminated. And then from there, nishtha, firm conviction, unbreakable faith, then ruchi. From there comes taste. What does Srila Rupa Goswami say about taste? We've spoken about it before. Tunde tandavani vitanute tundavali labdhaye karna krodha kadambani gatayate karna bude vyaspriham cheta prangana sangini vijayate sarvendriyanam kritim no jane janitakya viramnetai krishneti varnadvayi. How much nectar is contained within the two syllables Krishna? Now this is how we can all know. Our Gurudeva would say, put your hand on your heart or test your pulse. It means our pulse for bhakti. How can we know if we have real taste? How much nectar is contained within these two syllables, Krishna? That this one tongue is not enough. I require millions of tongues to taste that sweet nectar. And these 2 ears are not enough. I require millions of ears to drink that sweet nectar of just these 2 syllables. And many of us, when we're chanting, it might be very different. Oh my God, I have to get it done so that I can do every other important thing in my life. Or maybe it's like walking in a desert and chewing on sand. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But that's okay. It's okay because Rupa Goswami says in the 7th verse of Upadeshamrita, Syat Krishna Nama Charitari Sitapya Vidya. But let me continue with the other shlok and then I will come to this. So, millions of ears are required, millions of tongues are required. How much nectar is in just that name, Krishna? Cheta prangana sangini vijayate sarvendriyanam kritim. It enters deep within the core of one's heart. And when it does that, all of one's senses become inactive, inert. Means you completely lose track of what's going on with your senses. Today we sang Srila Goswami Ashtakam. And I think it's the last or the second to the last verse. I'm going to try to remember. What page is that? Krishnot Kirtana Ganana Tanaparo, 264. So there it is saying, the second to the last one. Radha kundatate kalinda tanayati recha vamshivate premon madvashad shesha dashaya grastom pramatto sada gayanto chakada harer gunavaram bhava vibhuto muda vande rupa sanatano ragujugo Sri Jiva Gopalako. So here it is saying, wandering along the banks of Radhakund or the Jamuna and sometimes at Vangshivat, they would be forever seized by limitless, transcendental states, intoxicated by the utter madness of prema. Overwhelmed with bhav, they would jubilantly sing about the exalted qualities of Hari. I worship Sri Rup Sanatan, Raghunath Bhatta, Raghunath Das, Jiva and Gopal Bhatta Goswamis. So they were completely overwhelmed in divine madness, premon mad. Divine madness. At such a time, one is not aware of what is going on. All of the senses become inert. This is the proof of real taste. And actually, Rupa Goswami was mentioning Srimati Radhika in this shlok, Tunde Tannavani Ritim Vitonate, that he's witnessing these states of divine prema. How much nectar is in that name? How much nectar is there? Am I experiencing this nectar? So much so that it's driving me to drink more and more, and my thirst is never quenched. Because that nectar is unlimited. And is always ever fresh. Always ever sweet. More and more. Am I running after that nectar? Or am I running away from that nectar? We can test ourselves. So, coming back to the shlok previously, not the one in Upadeshamrita, but the one I was referring to from Srimad Bhagavatam. Sudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatyasha Vairagyam Jnanam Chayara Hoitukam. By the process of bhakti, then what will come naturally? Because bhakti brings a higher taste. And what is that higher taste? This is transcendental jnanam. What is that transcendental knowledge? Who am I? What is my relationship with my eternal beloved? Who is my eternal beloved? How will I serve? This is jnanam. It means everything through the process of bhakti begins to manifest and awaken within the heart. And when that begins to awaken, then jnanam cha, vairagyam cha. Vairagya means two things. Our Guru Varga have explained. Vairagya means renunciation. So causeless renunciation means by the presence of bhakti, as it is growing in the heart, automatically all other things which are not related to that become distasteful and we let them go. You don't even have to think about it really. Because if you have greed for something, taste for something, then those other things that you may have had taste before, those other things that you may have had taste before, or previously for, those things become uninteresting. Like Srila Rupa Goswami gives the example in Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Just as a woman who's married at home, who is pining for her beloved outside of her home, has no interest really of what's going on inside. Her mind and heart is completely absorbed 24 hours with her beloved. So she's lost interest here, but still she maintains everything nicely so that nothing can be detected. In the same way as bhakti is manifesting, as transcendental knowledge of my relationship with Krishna is manifesting, as taste is manifesting for Krishna, this is the higher taste, then everything else becomes insignificant. This is proof. Another meaning of vairagya, vai means special or speciality, and rag means deep attachment. So it's the same thing. Through the process of awakening that deep attraction and attachment for Krishna, then everything else becomes insignificant. Sansara grihira jego hoy sarvanash. Bandhu sange jaritava ranga parihas. Oh my dear friend, if you want to maintain your worldly friendships and attachments to anything in this world, whatever you do, do not come to Vrindavan. And if by some great misfortune you come to Vrindavan, whatever you do, absolutely, do not go to Keshi Ghat. And if by the greatest misfortune you have gone there, whatever you do not look upon the face of Govindaji. Your life will be ruined. Don't see Krishna who is standing there in his Shyamam Tribhanga Lalit, beautiful threefold bending form, holding his flute to his lips, looking so beautiful, Ujvalam Chandrakena, in the moonlight. Oh, he will steal your heart and everything, and you will lose interest in everything else. Your material life will become destroyed. Sangsari grihira jego hoy sarvanash. Sansar grihir means your household life. Everything that you're generally revolving around, you will lose interest in it. How? In the same way that if you take prasadam one day and the next day you go to the toilet, you have no interest in that. You let it go. It has no interest. You're only seeking after nectar. O sons of nectar, O children of nectar, you were born of nectar. You are made of nectar, and you are made to drink nothing but nectar. So don't be satisfied by anything but nectar. And who is the embodiment of all nectar? Akhila Rasamrita Murti. That is Sri Krishna. He is the source, the embodiment of all nectar. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying in the very first verse of Sri Shikshashtakam, Purna Amrita Ashwadanam, means tasting nectar at every step. Who? Anyone who takes to this path of bhakti, takes shelter of the holy names of the Lord, which are possessed of all of the Shaktis of Krishna, who is drinking that, they will feel at every step that they are tasting nectar. And if you're not feeling that yet, then Rupa Goswami tells us in the 7th verse of Upadeshamrita, Syat Krishna Nama Charita Disitapya Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanasya Narochikan Kintvadaradamidinam Kalushaiva Jushta Swadvikramad Bhavati Tad Gadamulahantri. I just remembered something as I was saying that. Many years ago, we were in Australia around the time of Srila Gurudev's appearance festival, and he was there. And I think it was early on in his travels, maybe 2000, it was 2000 or 2001, early on. And I was sitting right next to him. And because I grew up in Gurukul, I was born in ISKCON and went to Gurukul, so they taught us how to pronounce Sanskrit. They were trying to teach us Sanskrit. So I was sitting next to him as he was chanting this verse, and I said it very loudly in the best Sanskrit pronunciation that I could muster. And Gurudev looked at me and said, "Oh, you know this shlok?" And I was like, I kind of had a rough idea of the meaning. "Oh, you know this? Stand up and speak." And I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. Gurudev is just going to let everyone see. And I'm going to become so embarrassed, and he's going to teach me a heavy lesson. So I stood up, and I knew this is going to be it. I knew it was going to be the smack. I stood up. I told the shlok again in the best of my Sanskrit ability. And then I tried to tell it, and it was just like a baby literally saying goo goo gaga. It was just, nothing was coming out. And devotees were saying, "Say this." And I was like, I said that. And they're like, "Say this." And I was like, and then I just got completely flustered, completely discombobulated. And I just was standing there like stunned. And Gurudev just looked at me and he said, "Only knowing the shlok will not do. Sit down." And I sat down. And when I was chanting that shlok, I was remembering Gurudev telling me that. He's still telling me that now. Because even though someone can speak so many shloks and may even be able to speak, still Gurudev said, he said these days so many are even writing so many books, they're doing so many things, but if they're not actually following everything that they're presenting, he said then really it's like sahajya. So that puts so many of us in that category. We're able to speak it, we tell it, but are we really following? Are we practicing?
To try is bhakti.
So Gurudev said, to try is bhakti. So I'm going to try to speak on this shlok because Rupa Goswami explained this for us. And it's essential for us so that we don't become hopeless. Gurudev always told us, don't be hopeless. And so this shlok that Rupa Goswami gave is a shlok of hope. It's a verse of hope. What is it? Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanasya Narochikanam. Then he says Kintvadarat. But, so in the beginning, because we don't have taste in the name of Krishna, we don't have taste in Krishna Bhakti. Why? We have only ever known what it is like to be the center ourselves, to try to be the enjoyer. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Maharaj said, why do we not like to love Krishna? Because to love Krishna means he has to be the center. He has to be the source of all of our attention. We must have exclusivity toward him, but we have only ever known placing the exclusivity toward ourselves. Even in the name of placing exclusivity in others, Gurudev said, all of the truth in this world is not true. It is false. It's not true. All of those things that we say, oh, this is the truth, that's the truth. The only real truth is Krishna. What the pure devotees are giving, Shastra, Hari Guru and Vaisnava. This is what Hari Guru Vaisnava Bhagavatamrita, Guru Sadhu Shastra. This is truth. Everything else is false. Everything of this material world. So we call it truth. Oh, this is truth. No, that's the truth. Which one's the truth? I don't know which one is the truth. We can't figure out which one's really the truth because none of it is going to bring us Krishna Bhakti. None of it is going to save us from samsara. It will keep us more and more bound in samsara. So how is it truth? So Bhagavatam comes to establish the truth, which is reality distinguished from illusion for the benefit of all. That is Bhagavat Dharma. That means bhakti. The development or awakening of bhakti, which dissolves all untruths. By the process of bhakti, the subtle body made of mind, intelligence, and false ego, untruths, this is gradually dissolved, like placing food into your stomach is gradually dissolved by all of the acids which are present. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Kapila Dev to his mother Devahuti. By the process of bhakti, gradually all of this avidya, ignorance, is dissolved. All of those things which are unfavorable for establishing or awakening reality. Excuse me. So in this verse of hope by Srila Rupa Goswami, he says that in the beginning, like Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, happiness in the mode of ignorance is like poison in the beginning, poison in the end. Happiness in the mode of passion is like nectar in the beginning, and poison in the end. Happiness in the mode of goodness is like poison in the beginning, nectar in the end. And apparently what Rupa Goswami is saying in this case, also with Harinam Prabhu, in the beginning we might not have any taste because we're already sick. We are jaundiced. Pito patapta. Pita means yellow. So we are jaundiced. We have jaundice of ignorance. And when you have jaundice, anything sweet, sugar candy, tastes bitter. I've had jaundice seriously, heavily, twice. Once when I was in Vrindavan Gurukul, and once in probably the early 2000s. Very heavily. It feels like a knife is stabbing into your liver, and so painful. Your body turns yellow, your eyes turn yellow, like the color of this cap, very yellow, and you can't taste properly. Sugar, sweetness, tastes bitter. But Rupa Goswami is saying that in the same way, if you continue taking that sugar, it becomes like a remedy, the mishri, sugar candy. It's not just any candy, but it's the most refined form of sugar. You know how to make sugar candy? You dissolve sugar in water, and you put a string in that water, and gradually you see sugar crystallize onto that string. People just put a pen or a pencil with some string dangling. And after some time, you'll have big crystallized sugar. So that's considered the most pure form of sugar, this crystallized sugar. And it is known as mishri. Krishna likes to eat it. Butter and mishri. Rock sugar candy. So that is said to also be healing for that disease of ignorance, or that disease of jaundice. So Rupa Goswami is saying in the same way, in the beginning it might taste bitter. It might feel like it's not good. But that is the remedy, to continue chanting, to continue taking shelter of the holy name, especially under the guidance of Vaishnavas. Gradually, by that prescription, by that medicine, you will become cured. And then the bitterness will start going away and you will start tasting a little sweetness. This would be like namabhas. You know, this. You start seeing the light rising on the horizon. Oh, something is coming, something is coming. A little bit of sweetness in a land of bitterness. But then you can have hope. Hope will come. Why? Because, it has been prescribed. And I was told that this would happen. Now some sweetness is coming. And that should create a drive, an endless hope. Okay, I know. They said it's going to be bitter in the beginning. But they're all experiencing that sweetness. They know and they have told me. And I'm going to place my faith in their words, in their teachings, in the words of Shastra, Guru and Sadhu and Krishna. How sweet is the name of Krishna? Krishna takes the form of Mahaprabhu to chant his names because he wants to experience that sweetness. And he himself is saying, oh, nectar at every step. How much sweetness is in my own name? That same process that he has given us, he himself is taking. And he's showing by his own example how to taste this nectar. How to taste it. With what moods. And so through Srila Rupa Goswami, we are receiving all of the processes really about how to awaken taste for the holy names of Krishna. And through that taste, once the ruchi comes, it's like a drive. Because taste means greed must come. I have tasted that sweetness, and now I can't think of anything else. I must find it. I must take it. In this material world, it's pervertedly reflected in some kind of addiction. But once the spiritual addiction comes, means I cannot live without Krishna. And I will begin running forward on the path of bhakti. So we can find out or detect if we actually have taste or not. And if we don't have taste, still the process must be undertaken. I'm going back to the Upadeshavali of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, where he confirms what Srila Rupa Goswami has given in this verse. That if we continue taking that shelter of the holy name, even though in the beginning it is bitter, gradually, by that medicine, it will become sweet. But it must be under guidance of Vaishnavas. In that association, then gradually, those things will disappear. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is saying, as mundane thoughts arise while taking Harinam, we can all check ourselves and see, yes, does this happen? Okay. One should not become discouraged. A secondary consequence of taking Harinam is that these useless, mundane thoughts will gradually dissipate. Therefore, one should not worry about this. By dedicating one's mind, body, and words to serving Sri Nam, this is the holy name, and continuing to chant with great persistence, Sri Nam Prabhu will grant one darshan of his supremely auspicious transcendental form. And by continuing to chant until one's anarthas are fully eradicated by the power of Sri Nam, realization of his form, qualities, and pastimes will automatically arise. So here Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is saying that by taking shelter of Nam, gradually, you don't have to force the meditation of Ashtakaliya Lila, but gradually through following the process, the form, the name will manifest the form, and the form will manifest the pastimes. The pastimes will start to flow spontaneously, and this will be known as Svarasiki Upasana. It means automatic, transcendental flow. So one will remember the eightfold pastimes of Radha Krishna 24 hours a day. Until that time, we should remember the pastimes which we have heard from our Gurudev and our Guru Varga. However, in connection with this, we should remember the prayer of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Ekaki amar nahi pai bal harinam sankirtane tumi kripa kori shraddha bindu diya deho Krishna namadhane. That on my own I have no power, I have no strength to chant the holy names of the Lord. So he's praying to the Vaishnavas, he's praying to Gurudev, please give me your mercy, give me just one drop of faith. So this means that first we should serve Guru, we should serve the Vaishnavas, but especially Sri Guru, pratamam tu gurum pujam, and to be under the guidance of Guru. And then we should follow all of the practices of bhakti, especially this most important practice, especially in this age, Kali Yuga, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Aiva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyeva, 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 Gatir Anyata. That the only way is by taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord. So Rupa Goswami is giving us all instruction how to do such a thing. Srila Gurudev said about Rupa Goswami, and this is what I started with, that what is the speciality of the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami? And devotees were giving so many answers, but Srila Gurudev wanted something specific. We should understand what he means by what is the speciality of his teachings. So Srila Gurudev explained that there is nothing that Rupa Goswami wrote that he himself didn't practice, didn't implement himself in his life practically and realize the results. So it wasn't that he was just writing something, giving something, telling people you should do this, you should do that, you should do this or that. He himself practiced, he himself followed, he himself experienced the result. So he did the scientific experiment, if you want to call it that. He followed that process himself, and then he revealed it to the world. But this is special. Gurudev was contrasting that with what people do these days. He said these days people just write stuff, but they don't follow anything. He said they'll write books and books and books, and they might have 4 girlfriends on the side, or for any lady, she'll be writing books and books and giving out all this information and have 4 boyfriends on the side. And he said this is not real taste. He said these days sometimes people take a little bit from here, a little bit from here, a little bit, okay, and then you get the Nobel Prize. Because you've taken little bits of information from other person's studies. But Rupa Goswami himself practiced what he preached. And this is the instruction of Mahaprabhu, that one can preach what they themselves practice. One's achar, one's practice. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, because in Hindi, achar means pickle. Also, so there's achar. It's a practice. One's own practice, then when they preach that, then it is called prachar. And one who teaches by their own example, they are known as acharya. These days, just because someone's guru disappears from this world, then suddenly other people start calling prominent disciples of theirs acharya. But this is not the definition of acharya. Acharya means one who is teaching by their own example. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yad yad acharati shreshtas, whatever those persons who are in high positions do, those who are not in those positions, who are following them, will also follow it. So if someone in a high position is doing activities which are other than those activities which are favorable for bhakti, if they're engaging in any activity which is bhakti pratikul, or opposed to or against the principles of bhakti, then it only creates so many difficulties in society, because those who are following will also imbibe those kind of characteristics. Therefore, it is said that who is acharya? Real acharya is one who teaches by their own example. They are practicing the tenets of bhakti properly, and then when they preach, you can see the result. Look at the result of Srila Prabhupada's preaching. Look at the result of Srila Gurudev's preaching. Look at the result of Srila Gauragovinda Maharaja's preaching. What kind of exclusive, complete absorption did they have in Guru Gauranga Radha Krishna, with no attraction, no consideration for any material thing, nothing. Complete absorption, 100%. So Gurudev said this is the speciality of the writings of Rupa Goswami, that he himself followed perfectly, and he himself tasted the results perfectly. Then he presented it to this world, and then Gurudev gave a beautiful example for proof of this point. He said, once upon a time, Sanatan Goswami was reading some of the works of Rupa Goswami, and he saw something there that he thought, ooh, this needs to be edited. It does not seem right or correct. Rupa Goswami was comparing the braid of Srimati Radhika to a black snake with its hood open. To a black snake. And Sanatan Goswami was thinking, oh, there's got to be a better example than comparing her braid to a black snake. Black snake is poisonous and dangerous. Why are we comparing her braid to that? We should speak about it in terms of something sweet. But Rupa Goswami himself couldn't change it. He said, if you feel it can be changed, then you can change it as you like. So Sanatan Goswami was looking at the verse and trying to come up with some other option. Something sweet, something soft, something gentle, something, to compare her braid to. And then as he was meditating on it, he thought, okay, I will do it tomorrow. And they were there at the time near Radha Kund. Off in the distance, he saw there was a grove, which is, at that time, it was full of all forests and flowers and everything beautiful. And he saw that there was a beautiful swing there, and a young girl was swinging on the swing, and her friends were pushing her, her girlfriends were pushing her. And Srila Gurudev said, she didn't appear to be anything exquisite or anything. She appeared like a worldly girl, any ordinary girl. But Sanatan Goswami, as he looked over in that direction and saw this, he noticed some black serpents were there. And he began screaming, Ladi, Ladi, be careful, there's snakes, be careful. He saw the black serpents. And as he grabbed a stick to run to remove the snakes, suddenly the entire vision disappeared from before him. And then he realized that was Srimati Radhika and her Sakhis. And he had seen what looked like a black snake. It was her braid moving as she was swinging. And then he realized, whatever Rupa Goswami has written is exact. Gurudev used the words, as it is. Like Bhagavad Gita, as it is. What Rupa Goswami is writing is as it is. It's nothing of this world. It is transcendental vision. Gurudev explained that just like Vyas saw Srimad Bhagavatam in Samadhi and then wrote it down. So Rupa Goswami is witnessing the pastimes of Krishna and writing it down. So as he was seeing it, this vision, this darshan was manifesting in his heart. This is called Samadhi. He is, in essence, attained or at one with that transcendental. Sama means equal and Dhi means consciousness. Samadhi. So equal consciousness with the transcendental realm. Experiencing, seeing, and then representing that to the world. So Sanatan Goswami realized everything that he wrote was exact and correct as it is. So there's nothing to be changed. Gurudev said you cannot change one word of Rupa Goswami or of any Vaishnava who is like them. Like them means intimate maidservants of Srimati Radhika who are serving along with Sri Rupa Manjari. This is our Rupa Anuga Guru Varga. How can we change their words? They are as it is. If we think I know more than them, therefore I can change their words, Gurudev said, never, never, and never. Whoever does this, and this doesn't mean editing for spelling mistakes, or maybe for a grammar thing, but the mood, the bhav, the essence. One cannot adjust that. One cannot change that. One should not flip it, turn it over, throw it this way or that way. Srila Gurudev asked that question in Australia, does anyone have the right to change the words of their guru? And one devotee said, well, it depends, maybe. And Gurudev said, no. He said, whoever does this, no. Actually, Gurudev used a heavy word, but I'm not going to speak on that now. No one has the right to change the words of their guru. He said, otherwise, what is the meaning of taking guidance? Then anyone can change the word of their guru at any time and switch it, reverse the meaning, switch everything up, and then what do we have? We have nothing left. Guru Nishta is the backbone of bhakti. So now I'm coming back to Rupa Goswamipada. Srila Gurudev explained that Rupa Goswamipada, as I was telling you, is practicing everything and then presenting it. This is really the right qualification for someone who will preach anything, who has the right to disseminate transcendental information, that everything that they are giving, they themselves are practicing. Therefore, they are one with their words. This is called saralata, simplicity. Saralata e Vaishnavata, Vaishnavata e saralata. Simplicity is Vaishnavism. Means their heart, their action, their words, everything is the same. The nature of conditioned souls of this material world is the tendency to cheat others. Duplicity, imperfect senses, illusion, making mistakes. So we can present something on the outside, Srila Gurudev said. We can wear a nice Vaishnava dress, nice tilak and neck beads, and when we go outside in front of other devotees, walk around and shake your japamala. He said this is something, and you're remembering the names of Krishna. But this is not everything. One must follow with their life and soul, mind, body, words, everything. And he was referring to the 8th verse of Upadeshamrita, which we mentioned yesterday. Tannama rupa charitari sukirtananu smrityo kramena rasanamanasim niyojya tishtan vrajetat anuragi jananugami kalam nayad akilam ityupadeshasaram. So the essence of all advice was that one should 24 hours a day without cessation under the guidance of a Brajrasik Vaishnava who is actually an eternal associate of Krishna in Vrindavan, that Anuragi Jananugami, whose heart is overflowing with divine transcendental love and attachment, complete absorption in Krishna under their guidance, always. Being in Vrindavan, being in Vrindavan means actually being under their guidance. Always remembering Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes, and doing su-kirtan, deep absorption, kirtan, always glorifying, and remembering the pastimes of Radha and Krishna 24 hours a day. Chant and remember the sweet pastimes of Krishna, as our Srila Gurudev would say. So now, we're going to go back to the first verse of Upadeshamrita. It was interesting when Gurudev started speaking about Upadeshamrita in the book Essence of All Advice. I was there in those classes in New Braj. And Srila Gurudev started with verse 5, which I thought was quite interesting, which is the verse defining the levels of Vaishnavas and how to respect Vaishnavas according to those levels. That we should not make a Kanishta, we should not glorify a Kanishta as Uttam, and we should definitely not call Uttam Kanishta. This would be Aparad. Either one is Aparad, Gurudev said. So we should honor Vaishnavas according to their levels. So he started with that verse, which I thought was very interesting, because we tend to look at these scriptures and think that they are linear. But they're not. They're holistic. If you look at Bhagavatam also, it's holistic. If you look at all Shastras, it depends on how one is approaching it. Of course, Bhagavatam, we understand that we should first go through steadily, reading the first 9 cantos, then we can come to the 10th canto, then 11th and 12th. We should, sandwich that 10th canto with the first 9 and 11 and 12, so that it has its protection, if you want to call it that. The protection is for us, that we don't mundanize or materialize Krishna. But like Shikshashtakam was, Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj explained that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't just sit down and write Shikshashtakam from Chaito Darpana Marjanam right through all the way to Ashla Shiva Paradatam Pinashtamam. Rather, in different settings with different Vaishnavas, according to the bhav of the moment, what he was experiencing or expressing, and also according to the association that was around him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed these verses at different times, and different devotees wrote them down. Subsequently, they put it all together in a compilation known as Sri Shikshashtakam, or the Shiksha Ashtakam. Ashtaka means a series of 8 shloks or 8 verses, and Shiksha, which means instruction. So the 8 verses giving instruction, Shiksha Ashtakam. So in different settings, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed certain things. To some devotees, how to be humble. Chaito Darpana Marjanam, the first verse, is about the glories of Harinam and how it should be completely victorious over our heart. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. The second verse, Mahaprabhu is telling how he's actually entering into the mood of humility by saying, I'm so unfortunate, I have no attraction to your holy names, which are invested with all of your transcendental potencies and are even more merciful than you. The holy names are more merciful than Krishna himself, that he's invested all of his transcendental potencies. So Mahaprabhu is giving different verses at different times, and as a Vaishnava is taking shelter of Harinam Prabhu and remembering the verses of Sri Shikshashtakam, they might not remember them in a linear fashion, but more holistically. So Srila Gurudev started with the 5th verse of Upadeshamrita, which he was teaching us personally in 1996 when we first arrived in Braj for Brajmandal Parikrama. This was right after the first year he traveled. So we arrived in Shikeshaji Gauri Mathura, and Gurudev saw there was 10 devotees from the West at that time. And so he started teaching us like a classroom teacher. He didn't quite have a blackboard, but it was kind of something like that. Do you know this verse? Krishneti yasya giritam? And we're like, no. And he said, okay, learn it, and I will test you tomorrow. And then he was speaking about it, breaking it down, and I was like, oh my God, I thought he was going to be my guru, not my teacher. And it was quite frightening. We went home and all night just practicing this verse. And Krishneti yasya giritam, maratha sadriyeta dikshashtichet, pranati bhishcha bhajantam isham, Shrushrushaya bhajana vigyamananya nindari shunyam hridamitsita sangalabdhya. So this is teaching us how to honor Vaishnavas according to their level, How? Because it shows us the qualities and the characteristics. If we're meant to see Vaishnavas according to their qualities and characteristics, it means that we are meant to discriminate. Otherwise, Rupa Goswami would not give us this verse. We would not be told to honor Vaishnavas according to their levels, so we should definitely understand that it's not all one. And to discriminate is not aparad, it is intelligent. Some people think to have discrimination is aparad. Actually, it will be aparad if we don't discriminate. Gurudev said if you take a third-class bogus person and place them or call them Uttam Mahabhagavat, then this is an aparad to the real Mahabhagavat. And it is definitely a aparad to the real Mahabhagavat if you take him and say he's a third-class bogus person, or even call him a Kanishta. It's still aparad. They're all Vaishnavas, but still we must see them according to their nature. So what is the nature of the Kanishta? The first level Vaishnava, Kanishta. They've not yet attained Nishta. Firm resolution, firm resolve. Why? Because they still don't know how to honor Vaishnavas properly. But they have faith in the name of Krishna. Krishneti yasya giritam. They have faith in the name of Krishna. They have faith in the worship of Thakurji. They have faith in the deity. But they don't know how to honor Vaishnavas. And what example did Srila Gurudev give? He said, like in Vrindavan, you can go to so many temples here. And when you go to these temples, those pujaris, for example, they have faith in their own deity. They worship their own deity, but they don't see their deity present everywhere. Not in the other forms. It's their deity. My Thakurji, right? This is natural. And Gurudev was saying that. But also they don't know how to honor other Vaishnavas properly. He said, so if Shukadev Goswami or Nard came, he said that these pujaris are there, they're worshipping their deity, they're chanting the holy name, but they see that I'm in a pure state, and these people, whoever are coming, they're not necessarily in a pure state, so they won't touch them. They won't touch their feet. They'll take the garland and they will throw the garland on these persons. Gurudev was explaining this, that I'm going to throw. He said this is Kanishta mentality. That I have some faith in my deity, I have some faith in the name of the Lord, but I don't know how to honor Vaishnavas properly. He said, so this is symptomatic of Kanishta. And we've seen this so often. Even if that person is maybe even nonsense in their own behavior, but still they have. So Gurudev said, yes, this is still Vaishnava, so we should not be offensive. We should be careful. But still, we should understand that this is Kanishta. And if we're supposed to surrender to someone, then Srila Prabhupada says we should surrender to that highest level person, the Uttam. And today Gurudev explained that Sri Guru is the Uttam who is stepping into the role of Madhyam for us to be able to progress properly. This is Sri Guru. If someone is coming up to that, they can help us up to their level. But that person who is descending, who's stepping into the role of Madhyam from the highest level, then they have practical experience of their loving relationship with Krishna. It's not only theoretical. Then they can give us that. The Gurudev always said, who has something, they can give that thing to you. Who does not have it, they can't give it. If you want 20 bucks, and if I don't have it, then I can't give it to you. If I have it, then I can give it to you. It's that simple. So if they have Krishna Prem, they can awaken that in our heart. If they don't have Krishna Prem, but they have theoretical knowledge, then they can give us theoretical knowledge up to what they have. But how can you awaken transcendental bhav and ras in someone if you yourself aren't experiencing that? It's not possible technically and theoretically. So we must come under the shelter and under the guidance of those who possess that. Then that can be awakened in our heart. So the next level that is mentioned is Madhyam Adhikari. Sorry, let me finish the first one. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta. So that person who's only chanting Hare Krishna even once, we should give them pranam within our mind. Manasa adriyeta. We should give respect within our minds, but not necessarily full-on Dandavat Pranam to everyone. And Srila Gurudev actually was referencing a certain personality. He said, who may not have been following all of the principles, but he had faith in Krishna, he had affection for Vaishnavas, and even faith in Vaishnavas. And he was famous for chanting Hare Krishna, and it went all over the world. So this person we all know who he's referring to, he said very famous musician in this world. And so he was referring to that personality in such a way that one should give pranam from within their mind. But those who have accepted initiation, who are embarking on the path of bhajan, who are giving up their anarthas, and who are endeavoring to follow that path which leads to bhav, means actually doing sadhana. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhavasasarana vida nityasiddhasya bhavasya prakartam hridi sadhyata. Sadhana is the process that one undergoes and undertakes to awaken or to attain bhav, transcendental loving mood for Krishna. That is sadhana. So dikshashti chet pranatibhishcha bhajantam isham. For those persons who are doing bhajan under the guidance of Sri Guru, who are endeavoring to move forward on the path of bhakti, not just kind of the quasi-relaxed version of bhakti that we see most of the time, but someone who's really sincere in trying to progress under the guidance of Gurudev and following the principles of bhajan. To that person, pranati peace, we should actually offer dandavat pranam to them. So we see when we're all in the temple after kirtan or tulsi arti, tulsi puja, then we offer pranam to all Vaishnavas. Dandavat pranam, vancha kalpatarubhyascha, kripa sindhubhya evacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. And then, the next one that is mentioned. Now, dandavat pranam is one thing, but then it is mentioned Uttam Vaishnava. What is that? Shushrushaya bhajana vidyam ananyamanya nindadi shunya hridam ipsita sangalabdhyat. Whose heart is completely saturated with transcendental, loving devotion for the Lord. Who has no tendency to find fault with or criticize others. Nindadi shunyam, completely devoid of that. Ninda adi, and so forth. Who is constantly absorbed in their bhajan. Bhajanam vigyam. And ananyam anya means one-pointed, without any other. So this is actually reference to the verse, anya bhilashita shunyam. Anya. I like it for those who speak English. It's very easy to remember what anya means, because if you separate anya into any it means any other. A-N-Y, any other. Anya. So, ananyam anya. Ananya means exclusive, without any other. That means one-pointed devotion to their Ishtadev, and they are doing bhajan. Bhajana vigya means in full knowledge. The constant absorption, remembrance of the names, forms, qualities, pastimes of Krishna, without any tendency to criticize others. We glorify our 6 Goswamis like this. What was their nature? I'm trying to remember. That verse, was it? Nana Shastra Vicharane Kinipino, Sadharma Sanstarpako, Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro. No, next one. Tyaktvatun Namashesha Mandalpati Shrenim Sutatuchavat Mutvadina Ganeshako Kuranya Gopina Kantashito. I'm trying to remember. Dhira. Oh, it's the first one. Krishnot Kirtana Garanatana Paro Premamrita Modi Nidhi. Dhira dhira janapriyo priyakaro nirmatsaro pujito. Why are they worshipable? They're worshipable by all. Dhira adhira. Dhira means those persons who are sober, who are knowledgeable, who are bhaktas. They are dhira. And adhira means those persons who are nonsense. Even rough people, mafiosos and whatever. Gundas. Dhira dhira. Dhira adhira. Janapriyo. These persons, all of them were attracted to the 6 Goswamis, to Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and all of the others. They were near and dear. They felt affection for them. Why? Nirmatsaro. They had no envy. These 6 Goswamis had no envy. So everyone worshipped them. They were dear to them. Dhira Dhira Janapriyo. And Srimad Bhagavatam says something about that also, right in the beginning. Those who are Nirmatsar, Nirmatsaranam Satam, without envy, they will relish this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. I think it's in the 2nd verse. Let me just remember. Dharma projita kaitava paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastamamatra vastu shivadam tapun trinamulanam. So nirmatsaranam satam. They will relish the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then in the 3rd verse also, Nigamakalpataro galitam param shukamaka muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. And it will be relished by those who are rasik and bhavuk. But Nirmatsar must go along with that. Those who are truly rasik and bhavuk, they have no envy, no enmity toward anyone. Why? Because the nature of Uttam Adhikari, the highest level Vaishnava, is that they see that everything is taking place according to the will of Krishna and that everyone is serving Krishna. That everyone is doing their part. Therefore, Srila Gurudev said, they cannot judge. That Uttam, they're not in a position to judge who is actually able to progress. So in that position, they can't give proper instruction. So therefore, those Uttams would step into the role of the Madhyam Adhikari, who has this conception, Prem, Maitri, Kripa, Upeksha. They have praying for the Lord, friendship with like-minded devotees. They give mercy to those who need help. It means those who need to progress. The Kanishtas and other Madhyams. Let me help you. And Upeksha. They neglect or stay very far away from those who are envious, those who are antagonistic to bhakti, those who are mayavadis, those who are severe aparadhis. They keep a far distance. So this is the nature of Madhyam. So for those who are in Madhyam, we offer pranam. But for the Uttam, and especially if that Uttam has taken the role of Madhyam, Shushrushaya, one should offer their very life at their feet and take shelter of them. So this is the qualification for Guru. Prahlad Maharaj also says, Guru Shushrushaya Bhaktya Sarvalabdha Panenacha. So the same word is there, Shushrushaya. This means to give one's whole heart, surrender to such a person. So Srila Gurudev and Rupa Goswami actually is defining what are the different levels of the Vaishnavas so that we don't become confused and surrender or submit ourselves to the Kanishta Vaishnava. Because if a Kanishta Vaishnava does not understand how to honor Vaishnavas properly, then very easily, due to Vaishnava aparad, they can fall down. And if your Guru falls down, Srila Prabhupada writes, Gurudev says and writes, Srila Govinda Maharaj and all of our acharyas, it creates havoc and chaos in the life of the disciple. And anyone who has experienced this knows it. How much the heart breaks and is disappointed when you've placed your shraddha, your bhakti lata, your faith, your spiritual faith at the feet of someone with the hope that they will bring you to Krishna, and instead they exploit it for their own pleasure. It's devastating. They just fall away, and then you've lost your compass. My Guru's the captain of my boat, and he's abandoned the ship. Now what? So, our Guru Varga have said that we should be very careful to accept only an Uttama Adhikari. Means that highest level, but for us they must step into the role of Madhyam for being able to discriminate for our benefit what is favorable in our lives and what is unfavorable, and adjust us so that we can move forward on the path of bhakti. So from this verse, oh my gosh.
Yes, time is gone.
Time is gone. We've spoken about Tannama Rupa Charitadi, 8th verse. We've spoken about Syatnama Krishna Charitadi Sitapya Vidya. We've spoken about Krishneti Yasya Giritam Manasadriyeta in the beginning we slightly discussed the 6th verse, Drishtai Svabhava, when I was feeling a little uncertain about singing a particular bhajan, because I needed to reconcile that first through any Vaisnava, how to understand that, because of the way it was translated. Sometimes translations don't do justice to the mood of a bhajan. And so in the same way that one should be qualified to manifest transcendental literature, even the translations must be checked again and again and again with the pure Vaishnavas in order to make sure that the essence has not been lost or misconstrued. So we see that at the time of Srila Gurudev, we have seen that even when he gave his Harikatha, his classes, that sometimes certain things he was telling at the moment, but he wanted it to be adjusted for the future presentation, and he would instruct it. So don't say this, adjust it like this. So the edits that Gurudev gave himself, this is superior, because he has made the adjustment or the refinement, what he wants to present. He would sometimes say, oh, my ability in English is so lame. I wanted to say this. This is what I was trying to say. So he would instruct, you should make it so that this point would be understood. And also when the translations of his books were being done, so much energy was utilized, going back and getting reconfirmation. Is this what you're trying to say? Because things can become lost in translation, or things can be added into translation. So much endeavor was done in such a way. And the same with Srila Prabhupada. He was writing, and then certain parts were edited, and this part he might have added, and other things subtracted when he's presenting his Bhaktivedanta purports. But after the fact, we have no right to adjust. But in that process, yes, that must be there. It must be there. So Srila Gurudev was very carefully presenting the refinements of the conceptions of Rupa Goswami and our Guru Varga. Very carefully. You can see how in the essence of all advice, they're reading one line at a time from Nectar of Instruction with the commentaries of our Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. One line at a time, and then Gurudev is commenting on it and giving so much context, understanding. This is, for me, it was my first real, I would say, experience. I was sitting there in front of him in Seattle in 1996. We were so close that my harmonium was his book stand, because the room was packed and it was a small room. It's about the size of this room, maybe a little bigger, but 70 devotees came from who knows where. Packed that room. And Gurudev was speaking, and I just remember, because Sudevi had already taken initiation in Los Angeles, and I was thinking, so he's supposed to be my guru, and I was just watching him, looking at him. You know, it's like Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, okay, words emanating from his lotus mouth, and he was speaking, and I remembered reading that book, Srila Prabhupada's commentaries on Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita, which is known as Nectar of Instruction. I read it 2 or 3 times. You know, and I went, you know, I kind of felt like I understood something. I used to sneak away instead of doing my studies. In university, I would go to the library, the section of the library where Prabhupada's books were, and I would read them instead. So I never graduated. Anyhow, so Gurudev was speaking, and the devotees would read one line at a time, and then Gurudev would give enhanced commentaries. And then the word when came up, and Gurudev said, oh, one thing. When you see this word when, it doesn't mean this, it means this. And suddenly it was like, my God, I would have never caught that. He's making it make sense. He's helping me to understand. And for the first time I had like an insight through a personal experience of what Guru is. He's not giving something new. He's helping us to understand the original thing. And so for me, that was like the defining moment. Srila Gurudev was explaining what Srila Prabhupada was telling, line for line, in Sri Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, and elucidating so much. And then when Gurudev gave his lectures in New Braj, those lectures came in a book called Essence of All Advice. And it is so amazing, so powerful, so beautiful, so deep, and so personal, so connected, so refining. So I'm doing my plug right now. If you have not read that book, Essence of All Advice, if you have not heard or seen those lectures, I urge you to somehow acquire that book. You can download it in PDF form from purebhakti.com, but somehow you should read it. It is so beautiful, so powerful, and he gives so much insight into the moods of Srila Rupa Goswami, into the moods of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, into the moods of our Guru Varga. So much clarification and refinement. It's just mind-blowing. So Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupananda Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Tomorrow we will be observing Shri Baladev Purnima. Shri Baladev Prabhu ki jai. And it's the beginning of the second month of Chaturmasya, so again we can have leafy greens.
Woo! Spinach!
Something. No greens for a month.
Shaka Sevane.
Yes, Gaur Priya Shaka Sevane. So, it's also Raksha Bandhan. So many things tomorrow. So
Yogurt fast.
It begins the yogurt fast?
I believe so.
Ooh, yogurt fast. So for all of you yogurt lovers out there, no yogurt. Does like coconut yogurt count? Or is it just milk yogurt?
I think that if you're enjoying it as yogurt, it's a nice austerity. Even if it's vegan, maybe just to offer that in place of regular yogurt.
Mm.
It's an austerity, and it's something done for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna.
Right. Okay, so tomorrow we will discuss about Baladev Prabhu and so many other beautiful subjects if we have the time. And then we will continue a little bit more with Upadeshamrita.
And
then,
one day, in about 5 years, no, was it the 3-year study?
I've gone past the halfway mark. I'm on page 91, and this book only goes up to page 164. So 90 plus 90, 91 plus 91 is 182. So I'm more than halfway. Okay. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
राधा बिहारी जी की जय, राधा जी की जय, गिरिराज महाराज की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि Thank you all very much for being with us today, giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga, especially Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu, and just for encouraging us every day to continue this service, which is our life and soul, as our Srila Gurudev ordered us, that even after I am no longer on this sphere, I want that you continue traveling and preaching my mission everywhere. So we're not able to go everywhere physically, but because of you, we're able to go everywhere virtually. So thank you for that. So we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, or being with you. And may we continue. Tomorrow is Baladev Purnima. So Dandava Pranam, Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe.